Special Projects artists Tessie and John Pettyjohn and Max Balatbat. So just to give them a quick introduction. So John Pettyjohn and Tessie Pettyjohn are considered one of the pioneers in contemporary Philippine ceramics. They are both at the forefront of ceramic arts in the Philippines, and they have developed over many years masterpieces which focus heavily on the use of Filipino materials. So can you please give John and Tessie a hand? Please have a seat. Oh. Okay. Next, we have Max Balatbat. Max Balatbat was born in Caloocan City. He studied architecture at the Far Eastern University. But in 1997, he decided to take fine arts instead at the University of the East, Caloocan. In 2002, he completed his degree in fine arts with a major in advertising and was awarded as one of UE's exemplary performance in visual arts. Before becoming a full-time painter, he was previously a graphic designer. His works have been recognized locally and abroad, with his works having been exhibited at Korea, Hong Kong, Beijing, Thailand, Italy, London, Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands. So Max, can you please join us here on stage? All right, so John and Tessie will start with their presentation and then Max will follow.
Okay, hello. Well, first I'd like to say thank you all for coming. And special thanks to the organizers of Silver Lens and the staff. And of course, Art Fair. It's just such an exciting event, and we're so happy to be here. Thank you. So I would like to just show you first a few slides of about our work. And I would like to start by talking about clay a little bit, because materials are very important to us. So this is a picture. That's actually Rita Godino from UP Fine Arts in Tahanan. She has works downstairs. We took a trip to Ilocos looking for clay, and we found some nice white clay. And this is a very important thing to us. We go around the country looking for materials. What we do, I think, it's very similar to culinary arts. Being a chef, being a cook, is very much like being a potter. And the way we approach work is that we look for materials at hand and see what we can do with them. So our approach is to really start by materials. Well, I have control of the slides. Okay, this is Mount Makiling. This is a place called Puting Lupa, just near my house. And this is a clay mine that has existed since probably since the late 19th century. We use sometimes a little bit of materials from that site. It's not 2 kilometers from my house. When you look for clay, this is what you look for. You know, when the earth starts to crack like that, it's a sign of plasticity. It's a sign that it's a workable kind of clay. Well, this is in my workshop, and this is a freshly prepared batch of clay. So we take materials from the ground, and we have a sort of a recipe of 4 or 5 materials. They're just different kinds of clays and different kinds of stones. There are things like feldspar and quartz. These are very simple materials. I would never call them chemicals. These are materials that come straight from the ground. There's the processing involved. You know, there's some grinding, sieving, crushing, and mixing, and aging. So, like this batch of clay on the floor is probably almost a year old, and the workability is noticeably better as it gets older. This is also Mount Makiling, and that's the adobe stone. That's the volcanic stone that Mount Makiling is made of, and it's also a very important ceramic material for making glazes. So volcanic ash and volcanic stone is a natural glass coming straight from the ground. So this is the Puting Lupa clay, the clay near my house. So you can see the beautiful orange-red color. That's just pure clay. And the glaze on it is just a simple transparent glaze. It has no color. It's just a transparent glass, but on top of that clay, it gets some color, that bluish color. This is the symbol of we live in Calamba, Laguna, the birthplace of Jose Rizal. And across the street from the Rizal house is this representation of Calamba. That's the pot with all the barangays. I guess in the ancient times, Calamba was sort of a trading post along the lakeshore. And I don't think there was really traditional pottery made in Calamba, but I suppose potters in nearby towns and provinces came to Calamba to sell their wares at the market. So this is in our house. Just to show you, we make a lot of functional ware, things to be used, and we consider this an important part of what we do. And we use them every day. We only eat on handmade plates and bowls. This is our workspace. That's my wheel. That's where I work. Tessie works right next to me. A lot of tools, mostly that we make ourselves. Okay, this is my wood kiln. This kiln is called an anagama. So in the year 2000, a group of friends came over from Japan, and we built this kiln, which anagama means cave kiln. That's all. It's just a simple word. It's just the most ancient. I can see that. It's the most ancient kind of high-firing kiln. It's a long process. It's a 3-day firing, and it goes to extremely high temperatures. So this is what it looks like as we're firing. So you can see the pots are in the back. So the idea of this kind of kiln is that as the wood is burning, it's depositing ash on the pots. It looks like snow. There's probably like an inch of it. And as the temperature goes higher, wood ash will turn to glass. So it becomes a sort of a natural glaze. So this is how it looks at the height of the firing. It's belching smoke and fire. It's pretty exciting. So this is the finished results. So that's all natural. That glaze, that dripping glass, is from the different kinds of wood that we use during the firing. It's a long process to unloading this kiln. It's like an archaeological excavation. Everything is kind of stuck together in there. And we have to carefully use hammers and chisels and gloves, and we carefully remove the pots. So this is typically the anagama work. So you can see the drips from the glaze. That pot was sideways, so the ashes, when they melted, they dripped down. And the unglazed portion, that orange color, this is our clay from the main ingredient comes from Quezon in the south, near Bicol, and totally gives the character of the piece. So this is also one of our old anagama firings. You can see the shell marks. It's an ancient technique because there's flowing glass in the kiln. Everything would stick together in the shelves, against the walls. So it's a technique, an ancient technique to separate them is to use a seashell. Seashells are made of calcium, and calcium has a very high melting point, which allows us to remove the pieces easily. And it leaves a very interesting mark. I experiment with sculptural work sometimes, and I did a series of guitars some years ago. This is also fired in the anagama. So this is typically our functional work. I do lots of tea sets. I like the challenge of making functional work. That's interesting. That's an ash glaze as well. It's the ash from the kiln. So it's actually after the firing, we remove the remaining ash from the fire pit, and we can make a glaze out of it. And in this case, we colored it with cobalt. It's a cobalt blue. This is one of my gas-fired works. It's a special kind of glaze. It's called reticulated glaze. Sometimes, just like the clay, when it shrinks, it cracks. It crackles and makes these patterns. There was a time I was doing quite a bit of that kind of work. Okay, so now there's just a few of Tessie's works as well. So this one is wood-fired. Maybe you should talk about your work. So Tessie is inspired by flora and fauna. We went scuba diving some years ago in Palawan, and suddenly these things started appearing. This is Tessie's lotus flower, a stackable porcelain. So Tessie sort of prefers these finer clays, like porcelain. Very different from the ones that I use. This is Tessie's chalice, I guess. That's a very ancient Chinese glaze called copper red. So Tessie does functional works as well. So this was probably from an exhibit in Silver Lens. So you can see the under the sea motif. Tessie spends hours and hours doing these kinds of work. She drives me crazy. She works in our bedroom, and until late at night. And sometimes I'm telling her, please, can you turn off the light already? I want to sleep. And she's there. She's very patient. This is one of her cacti forms. So it's actually a coarse clay on the bottom and with the porcelain flowers attached. Okay, so just to give you an idea what we do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Up next, we have Max. So we'll start by showing a clip.
Bahala ka na sumugal. Tiisin mo na lang kung makakaload ka talaga. Ako si Max Balatbat. Ito yung kapilya. Sa lugar namin, yung mga tao nagdadasal manalo sa sugal. Nagdadasal yung mga tulak dito na makabenta ng droga. Nagdadasal yung mga puta na may tumira sa kanila para may pagkain sila. Nagdadasal yung mga tao na magnanakaw na may manakaw sila. Simpleng dasal na nakakahiya minsan pag inisip mo, pero nagdadasal yung mga yan. Doon sa paligid ng kapilya, hindi siya sa loob. Itong ginawa ko para sa show, ito yung interior na dapat exterior. Pasok natin sa loob. Bakit ba mayroon kasing boundary na gano'n eh? May batas lagi, may batas lagi eh. Tingnan mo yung mga tao sa amin, nahiya na rin pumasok sa loob. Etong table na to, saklaan to eh. Yan yung mga bara na sakla. Ito mismo yung tsura niya. Pag tumaya ka, andito yung bangkero. Pero dahil nga sa dami mong sugal sa buhay, sa dami mong taya, hindi ako ang bangkero. Siya. Bahala ka na sumugal. Kahit ganyang katindihan. Pero dahil may pangangailangan ka, titiisin mo yan. Ito, kasi ginawa ko talaga siya eh. Tatay ko, kung ano nakikwento sa akin dati. Manunood lang kami sa paliwanag. Para saan ba yan? Para papabawas sa kasalanan. Papabawas kasalanan ba talaga to? Ano ba to? Healing pala siya. Humihiling ka. Sa pera lang naman talaga, tsaka sa pagkain eh. Kinulik ko lahat ng gamit. Tapos sa parata nila, 10 taon, 14 years, 15 years. Tapos binabaon nila. After, pinahukay ko. Pag nagdasal ka, majority humihiling ka eh. Nakalimutan nila magdadasal ka para magpasalamat eh. Kaya siya ganyan. Mapalo siya rito, mapalo siya dyan. Hiling sila ng hiling, ng hiling, ng hiling, ng hiling. Ginawa mong makina eh. Kung siguro wild lang, putang nagmumura talaga siya eh. Putang ina mo. Hindi ka magtrabaho, hayop ka. Yung kaya may nakita ko eh. Ang galing ng sinabi niya eh. Binigyan ka na ng Diyos ng buhay, bahala ka na dyan.
Good afternoon. I'm Max Balatbat from Caloocan. Ulitin natin. Hindi bagay yung English ko eh. Ako si Max, batang Caloocan, batang kalsada, pinanganak sa Caloocan, pinagyayabang ang lugar kong Caloocan. Sa hindi nakakaalam, pinanganak ako sa lugar ng Caloocan, dun mismo sa lugar ng Putahan. Nung bata ako, akala ko, negatibo yung lugar ko. Kasi yun yung sinasabi ng mga tao sa paligid namin. Yung mga taong nakikilala ko sa ibang lugar. Yung mga taong nakikilala pa ng ibang mga kilala ko sa ibang lugar. Na kapag nalalaman nila, yung Caloocan side namin sa 3rd Avenue, na merong international cabaret, may isang malaking putahan na bentahan ng laman. Hindi lang babae, hindi lang lalaki, iba-ibang kasarian ng walang pinipili yung lugar namin. Pag tinignan mo, akala mo negative. Negative, negative. Pag sinabi mong puta, ganun lagi nung bata ko tumatatak sa akin. Ang naririnig ko, pag sinabing puta, majority sa atin negative yun. Sa amin hindi. Yung puta sa amin, job description lang siya eh. Parehas lang siya ng gwardiya, pares lang siya ng manager ng bangko. Minsan, sorry Jan, it's Tagalog. Minsan, may hindi ako makakalimutang kwento kasi gano'n lang naman yung inspirasyon ko eh. Lagi kong, yung mga puta sa amin, yung mga anak niya, mga kalaro ko eh. Mga kasama ko sila eh. Negatibo tinitignan ng ibang tao yung mga ganong klaseng tao. Pero lagi ko sinasabi, kung yung nanay mo manager ng bangko, nagtrabaho yan eh. Umuwi ng bahay, kumita, sumahod, umuwi ng bahay, may dalang pasalubong sa anak. Yung anak ngumiti. Itong kapitbahay ko, nagpakantot to eh. Nagbenta to ng laman eh. Umuwi ng bahay, kumita. Nagbigay ng pasalubong sa anak. Ngumiti yung anak. Pareha sila eh. Pero nakita nyo ba yung laki ng puso ng isa? Kung hindi ko to gagawin, walang gagawa eh. Kung hindi ko to ikikwento, walang magkikwento eh. Siguro kaya ako Sorry. Hindi ako mabait. Hindi ako mabait na tao. Pero parang kailangan ko lang siyang gawin. Through art. Kailangan ko lang pakita yung ibang anggulo niya. Para sa mga viewers, sa mga listener. Actually, nung gumawa ko ng art before, nung nag-start ako, Sir Ben, nakikita niya ako noon. Sir Ben, maraming salamat. Isa si Sir Ben, nagbigay sa akin ng pagkakataon eh. Sa mga competition noon, siya nagja-judge. Malaking bagay, Sir Ben. Sobrang tinatanaw ko utang na loob. Sir Nolly, mga tumulong sa akin before. Gumagawa ko ng art before na sobrang linyado, sobrang architectural, sobrang linis, sobrang, kung pwede, sobrang ganda. Para lang makuha ko yung atensyon nyo, nung viewer. Para lang pag lumapit ka, maikwento ko sa'yo yung kabilang side ng istorya. Kasi gusto ko talaga ikwento yung lugar. Hindi mali yung lugar namin. Baka mali lang tinitignan ng ibang tao. Subukan nyo rin tignan yung dumi. Kaya ganyan yung mga nilalabas kong art lately. Kasi dito na ako pinakamasaya. Tapos na ako sa pagandahan. Tapos na ako sa nagpapakyut ka lang. Gusto ko na ipakita yung sugat. Gusto ko na pakita yung peklat. Gusto ko na pakita yung dumi. Gusto ko na nakahubad. Gusto ko na ng malayang art. Yung hindi ka na hindi mo na iniisip yung iba. After na lang, pag nakita niyo yung mga pyesa. Hindi ko na rin alam kung paano tatapusin to eh. Salamat po. Art Fair, maraming salamat. Ricky, Dindin, Lisa, Art Fair family. Pangarap lang to dati. Nasa isip ko lang to, pero natupad. Salamat sa inyo. Ma'am Boots, maraming salamat. Thank you sa inyo.
Thank you for the very concise presentations. Maybe just to start, I wanted to ask, both of you use very organic parang medyo organic, very organic yung process. So I wanted to know, can you walk us through your process of creating something do you usually have a concept in mind, or does it just take shape organically? So maybe we can start with John and Desi.
We live in Pansol and we're surrounded by nature, lots of trees and flowers and stuff like that. So that's kind of my inspiration. Plus, things I see all over, whether out somewhere or I always like to be, I'm always inspired by nature. Wherever I go, I look at things, just, little fruits, little flowers, the trees. That's why I do all these things.
As I was showing that, we would like to advocate for the use of local materials. There's a phenomenon in the world today that a lot of ceramic artists are all using the same materials from the same few sources. But the real character of the ceramic materials is in local things. And it's not that I believe that we should only use local. I mean, I also use some imported materials. There are things that are hard to find. But I think as much as possible, just like a chef, you should look around what's near you and see how you can use it. And I think that, if you allow the materials to express themselves, it's very rewarding.
Sa akin naman, gaya ng sinabi ni John, para kang chef, yung malapit lang sa'yo. Ako ganun din. Gusto ko nung dumadampot, gusto ko nung pumupulot. Gusto ko yung mga bagay na hindi pinapansin eh. Gusto ko yung dumi ng kahoy, gusto ko yung kalawang ng bakal. Tapos bibigyan mo siya pag sama-samahin mo ulit. Bibigyan mo ng bagong buhay. Parang gano'n. Doon ako natutuwa sa mga gano'ng materyales.
Thank you. So, siguro paano nyo nalalaman when a work is finished? How do you know when it's done? Kasi, di ba, parang kung very organic or pupulot lang kayo ng materials, paano nyo nalalaman na tapos na? Or, I guess in your case, when it's ready for firing, di ba? Or when you're done firing.
I just make things. When I finish, but you never know how it will come out once you put it in the kiln. Because every time you take it out of the kiln, you're kind of surprised, like opening a Christmas gift or something. Because you never know how it will come out.
I guess I would like to say, craftsmanship, being a craftsman, there's this thing about art and craft. Apparently, there seems to be this division, and I think in my life, a whole point is trying to explore what does that mean. Is there really a line between art and function? Personally, I really don't think so. It's just that they're craftsmen, the common craftsman, a village craftsman, has a kind of expression that's very deep. And sometimes it might be hard to appreciate unless you're familiar maybe with the traditions of the craft and how this person works. But I think it's a very important expression, and we shouldn't put it in a lower position. I think craft expression, contemporary and ancient, are very important. Just as important as any fine art. I mean, I personally, I've seen works of craftsmen that made me cry. It's just a funny expression. It's very subtle how you handle a tool, how you reference the traditions that came before you. And I guess the goal is always to learn from the craftsmen who came before us, to respect their skills, to digest them, and then use them, and then forget about them, and then you can achieve this sort of a freedom to do things that have never been done before. I think this is the amazing thing about art and craft together.
Sa akin, yung proseso, tapos malaman kailan kayo hihinto, di ba? Kailan matatap. Yan isa sa mga challenging part kung kailan kayo hihinto. Lalo na sa field na parang yung abstraction side kaya. Hindi ko alam kung regalo siya o ano Parang nararamdaman mo na lang kung kailan kayo hihinto sa pyesa, yung communication nyo with your work. Nag-uusap kayo nung pyesa mo So, may time na gumagawa ka, overnight tapos ka na. May time naman na isang buwan na, tangina, ganun pa din. Ang sakit na ng ulo mo, pero ganun pa rin. Pero para sa akin kasi, yung kada pyesa, kayong dalawa yan salamin mo yan So, may mga times na may pyesa ako na tapos na ngayon. Pero after a year, pag nakita ko siya, hindi pa. Parang ganun. Wala naman talagang katapusan. Kumbaga, matatapos lang siya kapag pinirma mo na Parang yun lang yung pumuputol dun sa ganung pakiramdam. Pag napirma ako na lumabas na to sa studio ko, tapos na yan. Parang ganun lang. Yung pagkakaiwalay nyo nung pyesa mo. Pero hanggat nasa iyo yan, parang never ending siya. Hindi, nag-i-enjoy ka
Kumbaga forever siyang work in progress.
Parang ganun Ewan ko sa akin yun. Ewan ko sa iba. Parang ganun. Kasi usually pag mga figure, di ba? Makikita mo na. Pero sa akin, parang hanggat maaari nga, habang ginagawa ko, feeling ko tapos na, tago mo na yan. Gagalawin ko pa yan. Parang ganun. So, nag-enjoy ka hindi ko masagot kung paano katapusin.
Siguro another thing that struck me about your work, Max, was your philosophy na walang mali or no mistakes. So, how did you learn to embrace this philosophy, especially now na, I'm sure a lot of young artists also in the audience are perfectionists na gusto talagang perfect lahat. So, how did you learn to embrace this philosophy?
Yung walang mali. Nasaksak ako. Taga-Caloocan ako, nasaksak ako Imagine mo kung kayo nasaksak, tingin nyo mali yan, di ba? Pero hindi. Dito ako na-inspire Yung sumaksak sa akin, pinakulong ko. Pero after noon, pinalaya ko rin. Kasi na-imagine na nakilala ko, hindi ko man talaga siya kaaway. Hindi din mabigat yung loob ko sa kanya. Aksidente lang na may pinagtanggol ako. Nakailam ako sa away. So doon nag-start yun. Lahat pwedeng mangyari sa'yo eh. Malungkot, masakit, masaya. Pero lahat yun, konektado eh. Parang gumagawa ka din ng art. Minsan parang, may nabali dito. Shit, mali. Tatawag ba ako nung mag-aayos? Hindi, hindi. Yan na yan. Organic lang yan. Yan na yan. So, naging practice ko siya. Tuloy mo lang, tuloy mo lang, tuloy mo lang, tuloy mo lang. Kasi pangit lang siya ngayon. Bukas maganda na ulit yan. Ikuti mo lang na ikutin yung tingin mo. Paikuti mo na lang paikutin sa iba-ibang anggulo. Papasok din yan. Parang gano'n.
So, John and Tessie, is this also something that you encounter in your work? Like being able to embrace these mistakes or these imperfections and when coming up with a particular work or if you have something in mind?
Yes, no mistakes and embracing imperfection. Yeah, this is a very important part of working with clay. Of course, clay can be a difficult medium. We have to allow it to do what it wants to do. Sometimes it doesn't obey, it cracks, it does unexpected things. That's why intuition becomes very important. Sometimes it's all, like Tessie said, it's ceramics is the art of anticipation. So we work and work for weeks, sometimes months. We don't see the finished works, and then finally, in one, you do the firing, the kiln, and you get to see the result. And it's always this is a difficult thing. More often than not, we're disappointed because we have expectations and we expect to see certain things, certain colors. Often they don't come out, but often if we just have to learn to see in a better way that sometimes the things come out better than we could have expected. Sometimes worse also, of course. But yeah, that's a very Zen thing also know about no mistakes. Also in craftsmanship, that's a principle, that there's a point where no mistakes. I guess we all strive for that.
Yeah, when we put finished works in the kiln, I guess we just leave it up to the kiln and the fire, to decide what to do with it. It's just like when you open it and it just, comes out different, it comes out good, it comes out bad. So we don't have control in that way.
So I guess what's it like for the two of you working with the same material? Like do you feel like you're influencing the other? Do you fight over materials or what? What's it like working together with the same materials?
Yes, of course. I mean, we do different things, and we've always separated our work. So that's why this unusual that we show together, and it's more unusual that we work on the same piece. So we tried to do that in our exhibit here a little bit. But yeah, of course. I mean, Tessie, her work is very different from mine. But I learn from her also as I work. I mean, we help each other in so many ways. Although, I mean, of course, we're different.
Yeah. Sometimes I tell him not to do that, but he still does it.
No, it's good to have
Yeah, you just give him my.
I mean, honest criticism is a great thing. I mean, sometimes it's hard to hear, especially from your wife. But I react when she criticizes me, but then I think maybe she's right.
Okay, maybe now we can open the floor for questions from the audience. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to know more about their works. So do we have any questions? Here? Next one.
Hi, good afternoon, Sir John, Ma'am Tessie, Sir Max. So my question is primarily for Sir John and Ma'am Tessie. In your slides earlier, you shared how you use handmade ceramics at home, tableware, dinnerware, and in Philippine ceramics, it's kind of known that the ceramic culture is kind of spotty or something like that. So what do you think is the hurdle that's keeping the Filipino everyman from using or patronizing ceramics in their daily lives? Because, like, for example, in Korea, there's a belief that using handmade ceramics adds like a health effect to your food, like it makes you eat healthier and something like that. So, in the Philippines, do you think it's like, is it access, is it price, is it mindset, and something like that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's very important. It's interesting, again, back to the chefs. It's interesting that some of the contemporary chefs are going back to clay pot cooking in the palayok. And it's known, I mean, they believe that it's a superior, there are many dishes, especially Filipino dishes, that actually taste better cooked in a simple clay pot. You know, it's just that, the modern times have caused people to want to edit those traditional things out or craft things. I don't know what that is. But it's important. I think that's being rediscovered, and I think it's very important to. You have to remember that clay art is probably the Philippines' most ancient art, if not maybe all mankind. I mean, those cave paintings, those handprints, that's clay that they were splashing on the wall. Those people were clay artists as well.
Do you have another question? It's at the back.
Hello. Naiintindihan ko yung chaos sa clay kasi talaga mahirap siya. Pero natutuwa ako sa correlation na binanggit ni Max na pareho. Kasi yung madugo yung sasabihin yung puta. Pero yung nakikita na beauty doon, paano mo na-uplift yung sarili mo doon? Like the negativity but you create beauty.
Gusto ko yun. Nagiging emotional tayo no? Pero yeah. Gusto ko yun. Paano? Yeah. Kasi pag hindi ko ginawa, baka walang gumawa eh. Wala nang ibang gagawa ko nakikita eh. So, doon ako nagpapasalamat na bigyan ako ng kahit papanong maliit na puwang sa art scene. Para may kwento sila. Salamat sa tanong ah. Thank you, sir.
Do we have another question? Yes.
Thank you. I guess maybe all of the speakers could answer the question, but does the source of your, like for example with our two ceramic artists here, does the source of your materials have an impact on the meaning of the work, or like the significant? Does it have a particular significance? For example, you get certain clay from a different place. It will have, a different meaning for you. And for example, for Sir Max Balatbat, diba you work with found objects. So when you pick up yung mga objects from your surroundings, does it have to have a particular, okay, ito dapat galing siya dito, ganon. And would it impact the art in particular, or, I mean, I'm not sure if you fabricate some of the items in your artwork. So would that also have like a different impact, or would it be better na, for example, yun nga, diba, you create stories regarding mga puta, parang ganon. So supposedly, but better ba if, for example, you get items from like mga whorehouse or from their particular space, and from the actual people themselves. Yeah, thank you.
Dun sa ibang nakakakilala ng mga trabaho before, kagaya nung question mo, yeah, nangungulekta nga ako ng underwear eh. nangihingi ako ng mga panty ng mga puto sa amin, nilalagay ko talaga sa pyesa before. Kagaya ng ginagawa ko naman ngayon, yung mga bulyos, yung mga pampinitensyang ginagamit ko, walang bago doon, lahat yon gamit. So, pwede kong bumili, pero sana yung gamit ang gagamitin ko. Parang mas organic siya. So, importante siya doon sa art making ko. Hanggat maaari, mas totoo ka talaga doon sa ginagawa mo para mas nararamdaman ko yung proseso. Kasi yun lang naman yung regalo namin, mga artists sa sarili namin. Yung daanan yung proseso na yun ng paggawa. As after nun, pag nadidetach na kami sa trabaho eh. Diba? Pero yung proseso, yung ini-enjoy namin. Kaya hanggat maaari, dapat organic yung materials. Lalo na sa mga kagaya namin na nag-assemblage, found objects, parang gano'n. Hanggat maaari, organic kami. Dumi, linis, alikabok, kalawang, lahat sama mo para... Thank you.
I think that's interesting. I guess we have that in common. I never thought about it, but working with found objects, that's like what we do also. I mean, we're constantly looking around us for things that we can use, like those stones in Makiling or whatever. And materials can have a lot of meaning. There are cultures where clays are considered sacred. They're only gathered for specific purposes from specific sites. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, my question is for Max.
Or like our friend Joe Geraldo, he gathers his clay from termite houses, which has it has some significance, no, and there's quite a bit of superstition about it also, but it happens to be really good clay.
My question is for Max. In your installation downstairs, there's a child, sampaguita vendor ba yun? Is this a particular person or is this symbolic of the community? Because I noticed her underwear was down and then the face, I don't know what effect you had intended, but is that a particular person or just, does it have any particular meaning?
Yeah, yung sa face niya, para lang kasi minor yan eh. Yun yung effect nun eh. Kino-cover ko lang, minor. Kagaya nung tanong mo, tanong siya ng marami. Pero buksan natin, isip natin, totoo yun. Masakit lang talaga siya, pero totoo yun. Nakikita niyo yung lahat yun. Nakikita niyo lahat yun. Hindi lang niyo pinapansin. Minsan yung iba, nandidiri pa. Yak. Pero totoo yun. Nag-oop, yung mga batang nakikita ko before sa Avenida, pag nagtitinda sila ng sampagita, yung mga parokyano, yung mga nasa kotse, titignan nilang gano'n yung kakatukin nila, sampagita, sampagita. Pero yung ibang mga loko-loko, imbis na doon sa bulaklak na ino-offer niya, doon sa isang bulaklak niya nakatingin, na nagkakaroon ng totoong istorya na nangyayari talaga, baba mo yan, bibiling ko bulaklak mo. Sad, medyo masakit, pero totoo. Hindi lang siya symbolic, gusto ko lang siyang i-share. Nangyayari talaga siya.
We have a question.
Hi, sir. I've been a fan for a while, so it's very nice to meet you, Sir Max. And actually, it's regarding also the child sculpture. Kasi I've also seen it in a previous work that you had in Art Fair before. So maybe it's a big impact, maybe on your life. Kasi nga yung intensity also of child abuse lately. But maybe my question with regards to your insight of walang mali or no mistake, how can you connect it to the crimes against children?
May makakilala kasi ako sa lugar namin na naabuso. Pero successful sila ngayon. Siguro doon sa lugar, maraming naabuso, batang babae, batang lalaki. Hindi lang naman siya nakafocus sa babae. Sa sobrang sakit siguro ng mga pinagdaanan ng mga batang to, naging manhid na rin sila. Pero ngayon nakikita ko sila, successful naman. Okay naman sila. Hindi kasi matutukan talaga eh. Ayaw talaga nilang tutukan eh. Ayaw pansinin eh. Di ba? Minsan gusto ko nang lagay sa Malacanang yun eh. Sa tapat eh. Hindi ko alam kung paano. Sana may makatulong din sa akin para pakita yung mga ganong klase ng eksena. Sana pansinin. Parang ganon. Sana pagdating ng araw, mas malinaw na yung mga ganong istorya. Sa ngayon, hindi pa. Wala pa.
Okay, I think we have a question from Ms. Boots.
Oo. Yeah. My question is for John and Tessie. John, especially because I remember we worked many years ago for the Anagama exhibition at the Vargas Museum. I think that was it 2008? Around that time, no? When
Yes.
you first introduced, since then, I noticed there, well, this is in relation to the question of Koki. Obviously, there has been some increased interest on ceramic art among practitioners and among the patrons. What do you think are the other, how else could the field, the practice be nurtured? Ano yung tingin yung kulang pa o kailangan pang gawin?
Well, it's occurring naturally. I mean, we're from our time, we're seeing already a third generation of young artists. Some of them were students of our students. Some of them learned in other places. But I mean, there definitely is an increase of awareness and interest in clay art, for sure.
Yeah, which is a good thing, because right now, all these people starting pottery is getting to understand that that they can do more works, for a different level, and they can sort of like evolve into something, because right now they're all just doing small things. But I guess eventually they will evolve into some other types of
So, for example, UP has a nice ceramic department now, a big ceramic department, well equipped,
yeah.
with many students. It's as of now, it's an elective subject, but I think it might become a major in the coming years soon.
I think a degree program, they're aiming for that, no? A major in ceramic making, ceramic art. Are there other schools, would you know?
Yes, I think there are ceramic departments in other schools for sure. I don't know, maybe Benilde or UST also.
UST talked to us about starting pottery,
Okay, good.
but I don't know if they found a teacher. They were looking for somebody to teach.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Yes.
May tanong ako para kay Max. Sa aking pananaw, yung iyong gawa na nandoon na nakita ko ay sumasalamin sa buhay doon sa inyong lugar kung saan may mga hindi ka nais-nais na mga pangyayari o mga katauhan, no? na sa palagay ko ay hindi common sa karamihan ng nandirito ngayon, no? Na hindi siya yung pang-araw-araw sa mga karamihan ng nandito. So parang isa siyang slice of life, isang pananaw o isang salamin, no? Na nagpapakita na may ganitong katotohanan o may ganitong mga pangyayari, no, na hindi natin karaniwang nakikita sa araw-araw. So tingin ko doon sa ganon ay isa siyang malakas na pamamaraan para maipakita yung mga pangyayari, yung maikwento, no? Yung lugar niyo o yung mga nakita mo noon. Ngayon, iniisip ko din, maaari ba itong magamit din sa mas malawak na lipunan sa pambansang mga pangyayari? Ang dami nating nadidinig na mga problema sa TV, sa mass media na ang daming problema sa bansa natin. Paano naman yun isasalarawan o mabibigyang buhay sa inyong likha? Or maaari ba na makarating sa ganun yung mga likha nyo?
Posible, siguro, posible. Pero as of now, nakafocus talaga ako doon sa lugar ko. Kung paano ko ginagawang libro yung kalye ko, kung paano ko ginagawa, parang doon ako nakafocus eh. Kasi feeling ko dito sa lugar ko, valedictorian ako eh. Parang ganon. So kung lalabas agad ako or papalakihin to, bobo tayo dyan. Mahina tayo dyan. Kumbaga. Pero dito confident ako na kahit magdebate tayo sa ganitong istorya, gagawin kitang listener kahit anong tanong mo sa akin. Parang ganon. So, dun sa tanong mo na posible bang mas malaki, hindi ko sinasarado yung pinto ko, pero baka mag-connect lang din yung ganong istorya sa iba-ibang lugar hanggang sa lumaki. Baka pag may na-encounter din ako ibang artist, writer, filmmaker, depende. Kung magsasama-sama kami, baka mas malaki nga, mas maiintindihan, mas mararamdaman na mas marami. Gusto ko din yon na hindi lang siya sa visual na hihinto. Visual, sulat, film, music, parang ganon. Salamat doon sa idea, sir. Salamat.
Idagdag ko lang na kasi sa karanasan ko, napakalakas nung image, nung isinasalarawan mo, na sa tingin ko, hindi ko kayang i-unsee. Dahil nakita ko siya, hindi ko na siya matatanggal sa kaisipan ko. Sasama siya sa akin sa pag-uwi ko.
Salamat ha. Kasi habang ginagawa ko naman yung pyesa para dito sa art fair, wala na akong inisip eh. Ginawa ko lang siya ng ginawa. Ang nasa akin lang, kailangan ko na ilabas to. Yung matagal na, nagsimula to sa ingrown pa eh. Alam mo yun, kailangan ko na siyang ilabas nang wala kang iniisip na iba. Yung isang interview nga last week, sabi niya, paano Max, ano ba yung na-expect mo na magiging reaction ng mga tao? Paano kung may nagsabi ng ganito? Paano kung may natakot? Paano kung... Sabi ko, kung natakot ka, hindi ka pumasok. Kung may napaluha, kung naluha ka, kung nagandahan ka, kung nasayahan ka, kung nabigatan ka, kung nalungkutan ka. Salamat. At least may naramdaman ka. Wala na ako doon sa positibo o negatibong komento. Wala na ako doon. Ang importante sa akin, naparamdam ko sa inyo. Yun lang. Salamat.
Do we have more questions? Okay, if there are none, let's give our panelists another hand. Thank you, John, Tessie, and Max.